President Donald Trump is once again whining about CBS News and calling for the network to lose its license. What set him off this time? Well, the network aired two 60-minute segments about Ukraine and Greenland, which at times strayed from the administration's preferred talking points. How dare they? What are they, the media? We have a lot more details where that came from, but Cenk, what are your initial thoughts? Should CBS lose its license?
For criticizing the president, for criticizing a politician. Well, like if you believe in freedom of speech, obviously they should lose their license.
Who do they think they are?
Yeah, criticizing a politician, they should be canceled. Well, is that really what Trump's saying? Well, let's find out.
Yeah, it is exactly what Trump is saying. We'll start with the 60-minute segment on Greenland. Greenland? I'm not sure how you say it. Here's an exchange with CBS's John Wertheim and an elder Inuit statesman in Greenland. Akoluk Langa said, when he mentioned Greenland like it was a toy or something, and then John Wertheim said, you noticed that? And Akoluk Langa says, we all noticed that in Greenland, all of us, and it was ugly. CBS also talked to Greenland's former finance minister about the Trump administration's plans to go after Greenland. John Wertheim says, is there any sense that this is just about the ambition to expand and plant a flag and this isn't about bases and resources? And Melina Abelson says, yeah, but that's what concerns me. Well, we're talking about people who live here. It's disrespectful. Finally, the segment highlighted a poll that found only 6% of Greenlanders favor US control of the territory. Then there's the 60-minute segment on Ukraine, featured a long interview with President Vladimir Zelensky, who stated, I believe sadly that Russian narratives are prevailing in the US. How is it possible to witness our losses and our suffering, to understand what the Russians are doing and to still believe that they are not aggressors? They are not the aggressors, that they did not start this war. This speaks to the enormous influence of Russia's information policy on America, on US politics and US politicians. Vladimir Zelensky, Ukrainian president, speaking again on 60 Minutes. He also told Trump that he should come to Ukraine. Trump's not gonna like this line of statements at all, saying, we respect your position, but please, before any kind of decisions, any kind of plans for negotiations, come to see the people, civilians, warriors, hospitals, churches, children destroyed or dead. Come look and then let's move with a plan on how to finish the war. You will understand with whom you have a deal. You will understand what Putin did. Have two deal, I'm sure he meant. Trump was extremely unhappy with those segments, of course. Here are some excerpts from his long rants about 60 Minutes, which were so long, we literally don't have time in the program to read them in full. But here are some excerpts. I just finished watching 60 Minutes, the fake news show that was scandalously responsible for removing a terrible and incompetently delivered answer by failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris. Now tonight with two separate but highly inaccurate stories about Trump. They're at it again. The people at CBS Fake News just don't get it. They did not one, but two major stories on Trump. Why, who is he, the president? One having to do with Ukraine, which I say is a war that would never have happened if the 2020 election had not been rigged. In other words, if I were president. And the other story was having to do with Greenland, casting our country as led by me, falsely, inaccurately, and fraudulently. I am so honored to be suing 60 Minutes, CBS Fake News, and Paramount. What an honor indeed it is. He goes on more. They are not a news show, but a dishonest political operative, simply disguised as news, and must be responsible for what they've done and are doing. They should lose their license. Hopefully the Federal Communications Commission, as headed by its highly respected chairman, Brendan Carr, will impose the maximum fines and punishment, which is substantial for their unlawful and illegal behavior. Brendan Carr, a Trump appointee, and Trump, of course, has already sued CBS for their Kamala Harris interview that was edited differently in a social media post, in fairness, versus the 60 Minutes broadcast. So yet again, the media really overstepping its bounds by reporting in any way critically on our dear leader. I do call on them to apologize immediately.
So 60 Minutes shouldn't interview the leader of Ukraine in one of the most relevant wars in the country.
Not if Trump doesn't approve it, not if Trump's not cool with it.
And what if that foreign leader were to criticize Trump on 60 Minutes?
No.
Well, then obviously 60 Minutes shouldn't exist.
Correct.
And Zelensky shouldn't have freedom of speech, neither should 60 Minutes or freedom of the press, which is also in the First Amendment, right? That should all be thrown away because they've hurt the dear leader's feelings. I mean, of course, everybody in the right were free speech absolutists, but absolutists, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater, and obviously you can't criticize a politician if the politician is on your side, right? I mean, like canceling their license wouldn't be cancel culture, would it? No, it's just, that's right. Actually, that's like nuclear level cancel culture. Like, I didn't like something you said on 60 Minutes, I'm nuking your entire company. I can't imagine anything more unconstitutional and against the freedom of the press and freedom of speech. Okay, there's the other issue though. I can't let Greenland go because this is hilarious. So this is one of my favorite things. Charlie Kirk went to Greenland and reported back. Now, as I read you these quotes, I want you to remember they actually did a poll, and only, as Ben just told you, only 6% of the people in Greenland want to join America. Okay, 94% are against it. But Charlie reported back, we were met by hundreds of people in MAGA hats in the streets of the capital city Nuuk. People that love America, that want to be part of America. He must have met all 6%. Because there's only 45,000 people in Greenland. If he met hundreds of people in MAGA hats that want to be part of it. Or
doesn't know how to count. I mean, he's not good at recognizing things in front of him. Like, I understand one time he believed a dolphin fetus was a human being.
Yeah, that was a great stunt that Ben did. You should check that out online. Okay, but my favorite quote from Charlie is this one. He says, a young boy comes up and says, Charlie, I follow you on TikTok. I need to show you something. Okay, so far that makes sense. That could happen. He says, in my village, 3 hours from here, when we just kind of go out in the countryside, we find rubies the size of baseballs, just falling everywhere. They're catching them like fly balls, right? Oh, there's another ruby the size of, okay, fascinating. And of course, they would like to give that to America. Okay, well, okay, hold on, let's be fair. Let's see what the young boy said next. He said, the Danes, because of course it's territory of Denmark, the Danes don't let us mine our rubies, our gold, our lithium, or our gas, and it's time for a rebellion against the Danes. See what the Danes don't want? Is they don't want rubies the size of baseballs. They don't want gold, they don't want lithium. Neither do the people of Greenland, they don't want any of it. They're just waiting around for America to come by so they can say, hey America, would you like these instead? Oh look, we also have lithium for the Teslas. What a coincidence. Okay, anyway, wait a minute, am I criticizing the president? Should I be canceled? Should my freedom of press be taken away? Should my freedom of speech be taken away? I mean, look, one thing I know the right wing is against is cancel culture. And there's one thing I know that they're for, freedom of speech. Look, brothers and sisters on the right, I'm not hating on you. I'm just asking you to make a decision, right? Are you for freedom of speech or aren't you? Are you for cancel culture or aren't you? Because you can't argue that isn't against freedom of speech or freedom of the press. That is you can have fun, make all the arguments you, but there should be a 60 Minutes exception. There should be a criticizing Trump exception. Over there, but they're hurting national security. But they could be affecting us. Hey, tell yourself all the pretty little lies you need. But we all got eyes and ears, and that is definitely cancel culture and definitely against freedom of speech.
Well, Cenk, to clarify, they are for freedom of speech for topics they like, because we all know that the only speech that needs to be protected is uncontroversial speech that's on your side.
Yeah, I forgot that part of the Constitution.
Yeah, when speech is on the other side and you disagree with it, it's okay to be for censoring it or canceling those people only if it comes from the left and not from the right. If it comes from the right and people on the left want to cancel that individual speech, they're being snowflakes and they should be canceled for wanting to cancel that speech, if that clarifies it at all. Also, supposedly, the Trump administration, despite President Trump himself kind of hinting at military action potentially to take over Greenland, they are drawing up plans instead for sort of a PR campaign where they're gonna be trying to tell people in Greenland how wonderful it'll be under US rule, and considering even a plan giving $10,000 a year to everybody in Greenland to support becoming part of the United States, which let us get some of that money first before we go shelling that out to Greenland. But again, it's just this incredibly strange, deranged, twisted world we're living in now, because back to the original topic of media censorship and Trump wanting 60 Minutes canceled, Probably his dreams are that the ticking clock at the beginning is just the last minutes of 60 Minutes existing until it explodes. But he doesn't want even what can certainly be argued to be partisan-leaning networks canceled. It's not like he is saying cancel MSNBC. He's trying to cancel CBS, known as one of the most down the middle, like thoroughly researched and presented news programs in history. And not to say they never make a mistake. He wants NPR and PBS to have their funding removed as well. The most unsensational, down the middle, deeply presented and researched and thoughtful programs. So it's just clearly not even an argument with these networks that, they're presenting something skewed. Not that he's against that anyway, because he certainly is a fan of Fox News and Newsmax and OANN and all these places. But if anybody just wants to present the truth, if it's not favorable, then Donald Trump has an issue with it and wants it canceled. And that is the most obvious example of somebody who wants to control the press, wants to control the narrative, wants to control freedom in the country that's supposed to be standing for freedom. And that is an authoritarian government.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.